waters began to rise and war broke out. Nostalgia became a way of life. There wasn't a lot to look forward to. So people began looking back. Nothing is more addictive than the past.
No, put me back. Put me back.
I understand. She's moved on, and you should too.
People don't just vanish.
To find where she'd gone, I had to know where she'd been. Was she running from the past? Or racing back towards it?
Aloha! This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, come to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And yesterday, opening day, I went ahead and I saw a new movie that came out both at the theater and on HBO Max by Warner Brothers called Reminiscence. Now this stars Rebecca Ferguson, Hugh Jackman of Wolverine fame, and Tandy Newton, most notably nowadays from Westworld. And it was written and directed by, Linda Joy, I believe, is her name, and she directed a couple episodes of Westworld and also is a co-creator on that show. Well, and without further ado, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And overall, for Reminiscent, it is a shock a thumbs down. Now, with an amazing cast like this, you might find that surprising, especially by something from Linda Joy. You know, Westworld, when it first came out, the first season was so incredible. Everybody loved it, and couldn't talk about it enough. Season 2 came out, season 3 came out, and basically Westworld kind of fell to the wayside. One of those tragic, again, shows that, maybe they didn't know exactly where they were going when they were, had the original concept. And the original concept, to be fair, I never watched Westworld, the new one from HBO. I did, however, watch the great 1 and 2 with Yul Brynner. The second one was Future World, but again, still had Yul Brynner in it. And actually back in the 70s, I want to say the late 70s, they had actually started, there was a pilot for a television series of Westworld as well, which I guess in a way mirrored a little bit of what they were looking for going towards in this show, the current HBO drama. But it didn't get past the pilot. That being said, we're talking about Reminiscent, and I say that, I bring up Westworld, not only because it might be Lisa Joy. Not only because Lisa Joy is the co-creator and also directed some of it like Westworld, and directed Reminiscent, but we can kind of see that it plays on the same theme as Westworld. It's a futuristic setting, although at the moment, or at the possibly at the beginning, we didn't know it was futuristic. Westworld being a Western, and then turned out to be robots, basically androids, and then different regions of the world after that, Japan, etc. So a futuristic concept, kind of wrapped and hidden, shrouded in the past, in, the ideals, or draped in ideas from the past. And, which is an interesting note for this movie, in the fact that it deals with memory and thus is like dealing with the past so much. A lot of critics said that a lot of people said the reviews looked like Inception when they were watching it. To me, it didn't feel like Inception. To me, it felt very much like the trailers gave it a Blade Runner-ish kind of feel. Even a Blade Runner 2049. Set in Miami and New Orleans. This is the, near future, I guess, where global warming has caused the oceans to rise. Much of Florida is underwater, and people basically think of Venice, where the city is sinking into the ocean. Instead of major cars being used to transport people around, use a lot of boats, a lot of ferries, etc. Skyscrapers, you're on like maybe the 10th, 13th floor or so of those buildings as being the level building. Some of the walkways, etc., were upper highways and byways, etc., that have now become walkways, and some cars can drive on those areas to maybe take you to a ferry until they go underwater, even more in the future. It's also hinted at that the United States may be on the back foot, having had a major border war, and basically border clashes with Mexico, but it's not said. Latin America, basically, stating that, a lot of troops are mobilized. Hugh Jackman, Tandy Newton, being former veterans of this border war, being put on the border and basically having to prevent anyone crossing, basically by shooting them. Mainly, I think it's never exactly explained why, but it's more so than political, more of a immigrant situation due to the rising waters. Just trying to continue to go north, migrate north, where maybe the waters hasn't risen so high yet. But again, it's never explained. And that is part of the problem with this movie, is that the backstory of this world is just, brushed over. I mean, that's a rich history. Oh, global warming has caused the oceans to rise. Cities are halfway underwater. Here in Hawaii, they say one of these days Waikiki will be flooded, probably all the way back to Makiki? Makiki could become the new Waikiki. Kaimuki even, who knows? That would be something to see. All those hotels just basically underwater, or at least the ground floor, maybe the first 10 floors. So there is a richness. There is something that could have been more explored in the history, and especially with the border clashes and wars. But basically, these are just window dressings. They are mentioned briefly and stated just to give the bare bones backstory to our heroes, Tandy Newton and Hugh Jackman. Since this is the near future, Hugh Jackman, having left the military, he also, in addition to protecting the border in that means of, shooting people, Tandy Newton mainly, he was also an interrogator, with special operations, special ops perhaps, intelligence, Army or Navy intelligence, I guess. Whereas instead of like waterboarding and such, they had perfected this technology where you can actually look into people's memories. And I think that's the major reason people felt a similarity of this movie to Inception, because it was somebody going into somebody else's memories and minds. But other than but rather than being asleep, only the persons that you're looking into their mind, whose mind is being looked into, is put to sleep. The other one, it is flashed up on a holographic projector where you see a 3D image of what they are seeing back in their past, their memories. You can't really interact with their memories, but you are witness to it, to a 3D representation of it, essentially. So a little less than AI. Again, you can't interact with their memories. However, you can view it, and you cannot create new memories for them. And in fact, when you attempt to do so, or you try to have them focus on memories that don't exist, thinking that, if you were interrogating somebody, you went to different questions, like, oh, why did you plant that bomb? If the person was innocent, he didn't ever planted the bomb. So it's not that he makes up in his head that, yeah, I did this, planted this bomb. No, it just goes blank on the screen, staticky, and they explain that as a misstep. That's when someone is pushed into trying to remember something that never occurred in their memories. This would have a lot of medical implications, medical benefits, not to mention, war and military intelligence usage. Say a patient with Alzheimer's, if you could go into their mind and maybe re-spark certain memories for them, that would be a great benefit, possibly correct that blockage in their brains that occurs along the axioms, that Alzheimer's causes, other types of memory loss. But again, I digress. None of this is explored. Basically, again, just giving you the bare bones is what Lisa Joy does in this movie. And this is a 2-hour movie, and I feel that some of these concepts could have been reshapen. Basically, what you're getting out of this movie is just a futuristic, set in the future, old-timey crime noir detective drama. Think Maltese Falcon, think Hammer, that other, dime store detective kind of stories, essentially, where the femme fatale, played by Rebecca Ferguson, comes in to the offices of Thandie Newton and Hugh Jackman, basically looking for some lost memories. Once, like a detective, which is what Hugh Jackman's job basically is, searching through people's memories for clues to events that they want found, objects, memories, missing people, etc. He does some work consulting with the police, trying to get into criminals' minds, to get more evidence for district attorneys, etc. Again, the legalities of which are never fully referenced or explained. It's just taken for granted that we as the audience are to accept that this is the way this society works. That it's legal for people to go into other people's minds if they've committed a crime. There's not too much they can do to fight it, I guess, unless you have a lot of money and, just like normal law stuff. And I guess Lisa Joy has some experience. She was studying to become a lawyer, so it gets very procedural in that aspect. She knows this stuff. And I think, in trying to just show that as a crime noir drama, using this fantasy / science fiction of memory, discovery, or of being able to see people's memories, I think she gets a little too in the weeds, a little too convoluted with just the procedurals of law, the standard procedurals of law, things that she knows for sure that, oh, we need evidence, this, and this. This is how we're going to get the evidence, but they never look at the implications of getting the evidence that way. It's just accepted and glossed over that that's the way this society is. So basically, Rebecca Ferguson's character is the femme fatale. The detective, Hugh Jackman, falls for her. There is a mystery that he finds out about her after seeing her memories. He falls in love with her, goes out of his way to find her in daily life. They start a relationship for a few months, and then suddenly she disappears, vanishes from his life. And the trailers would have you think that, has Hugh Jackman gone crazy? Is it like an Inception thing where he had known this woman before, and this is just a feedback loop in his memory, and he's going through his own memories, maybe a ghost of his memories, that maybe she never really existed in the way that he thought she did. That's how the trailers make it feel to you. However, it is very much not like that. She goes missing. It is pretty much a straight up dime store detective story. Think like Mike Hammer, the guys of Maltese Falcon. Basically, having fallen for this client, and then she goes missing, he starts to investigate her disappearance. And once he does so, he discovers things about her past that upset him. Basically, was she playing him all this time? Was she not the person that he thought she was? As he finds out that she's involved in some criminal gangs, drugs, etc. And that turns out to be the mystery that we end up following Hugh Jackman through. And occasionally, in addition to real life detective work, he goes through the process of searching through other people's memories as well in order to get more information, and looking back into his own memories for things that he may have missed when he was with her. When you're in the moment, you're focused on particular things, but this device, this technology, you're able to go back and look at your own memories in addition to reliving them, which we can kind of, to gain a greater perspective, kind of look at different areas, things that you were missing. In addition to just the joy of seeing good memories, it's kind of implied that in addition, the society is kind of becoming addicted to going back and looking at memories. And maybe society is crumbling, not only because of the environment, the rising tide, the global warming, the cities being sunk, but also because people are not anymore looking to the future. There's no hope, or hope has been lost in people looking towards the future, and they just wish to relive the best years of their past. And thus society is crumbling both on the outside and the inside. But again, all that is just background window dressing to the detective mystery story that Hugh Jackman is searching for Rebecca Ferguson. And during such, he reveals greater and greater criminal conspiracies, both from Rebecca Ferguson's and other larger crime lords of the city. I won't go into any more spoilers for that. This movie is 2 hours long. And for such an interesting concept, an interesting idea of dealing with memories, of dealing with a society crumbling from global warming, rising ocean waters, cities, being drowned, the haves and the have-nots, the rich live behind dammed walls to keep the ocean water out, whereas normal citizens, poor people, have to live on boats, have to basically find whatever, dry spots that they can in old abandoned houses, sky rises, etc. And meanwhile, society continues to try to function between crime and gang elements taking over the city. There's a lot presented here, and all of it is just barely touched upon. And I think that's the fundamental flaw with Reminiscence. It gives you these lofty ideas, but then it doesn't do anything with them. Trying to just keep it focused on these two people, or actually just this one person, because it kind of cuts between Hugh Jackman, a little bit of Rebecca Ferguson, and Tandy Newton, but mainly it's Hugh Jackman's looking for Rebecca Ferguson throughout this movie. And at first, you're not given any reason to really like her. She's pretty, and that seems to be enough for Hugh Jackman. And, as he spends time with her, she seems to be the woman of his dreams. He discovers that she had basically done her research in trying to find her, going back and looking for, her associates. He had, Rebecca Ferguson had kind of interviewed, interrogated his friends to see, what kind of women does he like? What does he like to do? What are his interests? So that she could better get closer to him and present herself in a manner that he would be interested in. So again, playing with memories. What do you really remember? What are your memories real? And I guess that's never really questioned here. Which maybe it should have been. Maybe it's like, do you really know this person, or are they just pretending to be that way? And one of the questions that Hugh Jackman keeps asking himself is like, who was she when she wasn't around him? Everyone has different portions of their lives. I'm a different person when I'm at work than I am here doing these, movie reviews, when I'm out, with my friends, etc. I think we all are. The Japanese call it a tatame and a hone. Basically two sides of your face. You have your work presentation, and then you have your off time, your private life persona, etc., etc. But again, the movie doesn't really look at any of this in depth. It's just, like I said, a straight up mystery, crime noir kind of sleuth detective story, based all around this romance, which may or may not be fictionalized, just to gain Hugh Jackman's trust and interests so that, something can be stolen from him. And that's all I'll go into for spoilers overall. Again, I don't feel this movie was like an Inception kind of movie. I would classify it, I would describe it best as maybe like Dreamscape, the old 80s film, or the old, what was that, 90s? Was it 90s? 90s film with Jennifer Lopez, The Cell, because she is able to go into somebody's memories, somebody's mind, and and look for certain clues, do the detective work like that. That is what I feel this movie is more similar to. Even some old made-for-TV shows, kind of, there was one in particular. I'm not sure if anybody had seen it. If you had, check, comment down below. But Overdrawn at the Memory Bank is an old made-for-TV movie, which was basically set in the future with this detective who goes into his mind, trying to find memories for his client to solve crimes. And that was kind of the story there. I don't know, there's no information, I don't know if maybe Lisa had seen this or heard of this story. But it is very, very similar to this show in that aspect. Again, kind of a Blade Runner-ish future kind of looking aspect, whereas maybe a cyberpunk-like futuristic kind of science fiction where people can like put their minds into the AI, an alternate reality, and look into people's minds through this AI device. It's all kind of similar, and unfortunately it's not really looked at, this technology, or how it's shaped society or is shaping society, other than that it seems to be helping cause the downfall of mankind, essentially, along with the global warming, all of the things that are just kind of brushed over just to get to this detective story of Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson. And for me, I found this movie very boring for the 2 hours. Even if you like crime dramas, to me, there was no reason for him to like Rebecca Ferguson so much at the beginning and seek her out. She seems just kind of a bitch at first, and Tandy Newton feels the same way about her and is on guard against him, or on guard against Rebecca Ferguson. However, Hugh Jackman, I guess because she had presented herself as an ideal woman, according to what he liked from what his friends had said when she had done the research on him, he was smitten with her from the very, very beginning. But as an audience person, it's like, you're not, it's like, why is he, she's cute, okay, sure, Rebecca Ferguson, yeah, but, surely there's other women that he might have, I don't know. Apparently there's not, because Rebecca Ferguson's the only person, even though, again, Thandie Newton is a beautiful woman in her own right, works with him, has worked for him, they've known each other for years, and it is even hinted to in the movie that she has a thing for him, and he's never noticed because of, well, he's just busy. You know how it is. But, but bring in this white gal, and he's like, ooh, and changes his mind real quick. So, I don't know. There are a lot of flaws with this movie. Overall, again, I just say it's boring. Shock a thumbs down. For Reminiscence, a lot of good ideas here by Lisa Joy, but none of them are carried to fruition. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, giving Reminiscent with Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, Tandy Newton a shocking thumbs down overall. All right, mahalo and aloha.